Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and hit the notification button. Today I'm going to be talking about 12 essential things you should know about Japan before visiting Japan. So the number one thing I'm going to be talking about Japan today is that cash is very essential. Despite the fact that many countries and many cities have adapted the online transfer payments during the pandemic, Japan is a place where you still need cash. You need to have a cash to be available because tip is not like in norms in Japan. So I'm still going to talk about tips later. But in Japan, despite that Japan is technology innovative and everything about Japan is modern, you still need to have cash in hand because there are some places like mom shop, restaurants, cafes, and places they don't accept transfer and stuff. So you need to have cash and coins in your wallet for you to like be able to purchase things around Japan. Since cash is like an essential thing in Japan, so travelers that are traveling to Japan, you need to get cash, and the only way you can get cash is through ATM machines. But the good thing is in Japan, the ATM used to work for 24/7. It is usually 24 hours, and you can get cash. I can recommend Travel Money Card, where you can choose the currency you want because some ATMs in Japan doesn't support foreign card and foreign ATMs. So you have to like take a travel card, and when you want to withdraw, you change the currency, and through the exchange rate, you can get the Japan currency and buy the stuff you want in Japan. So now that you know that cash is essential before traveling to Japan, just have to get your travel card and change the currency with the exchange rate, get the currency of Japan, then purchase anything you want in Japan. Japan is a very beautiful place and you can get beautiful stuff, especially technological stuff, because their technology is very, very modern. So that's just everything about cash I think you guys should know. So my second point for today is that Google Translate will be extremely useful. So when you are traveling to any country that they hardly speak English, or like speaking English is just like a little, and you need to communicate with those people, so you need to download the Google Translate app. So when you get to Japan, there are most people in Japan speak English, but you still need the app. You need the Google Translate app because like the more and more you travel into the country, you get to rural places, local places, and shop and local restaurants, and you need to like communicate with them that you need to get something. Just use the app, the Google Translate app, to communicate with them and tell them what you want and what you want to purchase. And something about Google Translate app is, no, Google Translate app doesn't work for only Japan. You can take Google Translate app to different countries. Just download the app and use it to communicate with them in English or in their language, whatever language you want. Just use the Google Translate app to communicate with them. So that's just it about Google Translate app. So that's another tip you need to know before traveling to Japan. So my third point for today, that is garbage bins are very difficult to find in Japan. And one thing about garbage bins in Japan is that you can hold your trash for hours before finding a garbage bin. And most times in Japan, if you like you need a garbage bin, you want to throw like your trash away, you see garbage bins behind vending, like beside vending machines. And most garbage, it is not every vending machine that used to have a garbage bin beside it. So most vending machines that used to have garbage bins beside it is just to throw cans away. The cans, like the drink you get from the vending machine, and you feel like you want to throw the can away, just have to throw it in the trash bin beside the vending machine. So there's a way Japan is to like go through their trash. So when you get to Japan, you cannot just throw your trash anyway. You have to be very, very careful with throwing your trash away so you won't get punished. So that's one thing about Japan. It is very, very hard to get garbage bins, unlike many other countries and many other cities where garbage bins are almost everywhere. Just walk somewhere and you see a garbage bin where you can just dispose your trash and stuff. Garbage bins are very, very hard to find in Japan. So I think when you travel to Japan, the only way you can dispose your garbage is maybe through the hotel you stay. You can just give it to them, that, or you leave it in the room that you're staying. But I don't think it's advisable for you to take the trash outside with you and trying to find the garbage bin. It's very, very hard to get a garbage bin in Japan. So just leave the trash in the hotel room, and probably the hotel service will dispose them for you. So that's another thing I think you guys should know about Japan. It is very, very hard, very, very hard to get garbage bin. So my fourth point for today about Japan is that train is the best way to move around the country or the city that you are in Japan. So the trains in Japan, they are very fast with high speed. It is technological innovated. So they are very good, and they are very good, fast and comfortable. So they are called the Shinkansen, and it's quite a bit expensive though, but you don't have any choice than just to try. If you don't want to stick to one city, the train is the best way to just move around the country, move from one city to another, so you can explore more places in Japan and visit more places. So you can get your pass, your train pass. There's the one for 7 days, there's 14 days, and 21 days. So when you get your train pass like that, when you go for weeks or days, and it's going to be kind of easier than to just anytime you want to move, you have to just purchase a ticket. And so when you just get your 7 days or 14 or 21 days pass, you just have to just enter into the train. And one thing about getting the pass is once you get the pass for 7 days, 14 days, or 21 days, the money is quite a little bit. They'll reduce the money for you because you're once they know that you're a traveler and you're trying to get the pass for 7 days, 21 days, or 14 days. So the money is quite a little bit cheaper than just getting a pass anytime you want to enter the train. Okay, so that's another thing about Japan. Train is the easiest way to move around the country because it is fast, comfortable, and it is very good. So if you want to move from one city to another city in Japan, you can consider the train rather than considering planes, taxi, or any other means of transportation. So my fifth point about Japan today is the dining etiquette. And most of you must have been familiar with this dining etiquette in Japan. And I think the most popular one is not resting your elbow on the dining table while eating. So I'm going to take you guys through some rules that are very important about the dining. So again, so one is that you cannot stab your food with your chopstick. Another one is that you cannot point to somebody with your chopstick. It is not possible for you to point to somebody, like calling somebody and pointing your chopstick to the person is not possible. And another thing is that your chopstick, you cannot rest it on the bowl of your food. You have to use like a chopstick rest. So you have just rest your chopstick on a chopstick rest. So still on the rules of dining. So the fourth one is don't pass a food with your chopstick. You cannot pass a food with your chopstick. It is not allowed. It is not possible. So another one is use the wet towel given to you to clean your hands before eating. You are not allowed to pour your soy sauce on your food. You are only allowed to dip your sushi in the soy sauce. So another thing about the rules with dining is that you cannot drink alone. After accepting your drink, you have to wait for everybody to accept their drink, and when cheers is declared, then you can now proceed to drink your drink. Or yeah. So another thing is that when it comes to payment, you're not allowed to give them the money. You just have to drop the money on the tray, on the small tray. They'll provide the small tray for you. Just place the money on it. So those are all the rules. Those are the most important rules you need to know about dining etiquette in Japan. So my sixth point for today about Japan is not leaving a tip when you go to a restaurant. Unlike many other countries across Europe and the Americans, tipping isn't customary in Japan. In fact, leaving something extra may just cause some unintentional embarrassment. Some bars and restaurants add a sort of cover charge, usually between 200 yuan to 500 yuan per person, which will also include a small appetizer or bar snack instead. Keep the change and save it for grabbing a drink from the vending machine. Yeah, you cannot leave a tip in Japan. So my seventh point for today, before visiting Japan, that you should know is that you need to take your shoes off often, because in Japan it is an offense to like wear your shoes into some places. You have to like take your shoes off before getting into those places. Places like restaurants, changing room, and temple. When you visit those places, you have to take your shoes off before entering those places, because it's going to be like an offense if you wear like your shoes into those places. So you just have to save yourself the stress of wearing a tight shoe or a tight slippers. You just have to like look for something that is very easy to slide on, and when you just get there, it's going to be very easy for you to just take them off and go into those places I just mentioned earlier. So that's another tip you need to know about Japan before visiting Japan, because you just can't wear unlike Europe and America and some places in Africa that you can just wear your shoes into any places without them asking you that you take it off or anything. In Japan, it is very common that most places you visit, you have to take your shoes off. So that's another point you should know. So my 8th point for today before visiting Japan is that tattoos are taboos in Japan, especially between those older generation, those old people. Tattoos are still taboo till now, till date. So when you visit Japan and you have tattoos on your body, it's going to be very hard for you to visit places like the gym, public bath houses, the onsens. I'm still going to talk about the onsens later in this video, so just stick around. I'm going to talk about onsens. Onsen is just like a public bath, but I'll be more details in the point about the onsen. So now that things are already changing, when you have tattoos in your body in Japan, I think in some places now that things are already changing, traditions are changing, and people are getting more modernized and stuff. When you get some place and you have tattoo on your body and you want to enter into the gym, they can just tell you that you should cover up your body, and in some places they will not allow you to just enter at all. So tattoos are still taboo in Japan. You can't have tattoo in your body and visit every place in Japan. They are not going to allow you. It's not allowed. So that's another point we should know about Japan before visiting Japan. Tattoos are still taboos. So another tip for today is you need to be prepared for an onsen experience. Onsen, this is like a hot bath that has a heated water temperature of about 40 to 42 degrees centigrade. Taking a hot bath helps relax your mind, which the mineral content of the water works to alleviate numerous ailments. So onsen is a hot bath in Japan. It's usually spring water that they used to use. So I think you should be prepared for an onsen experience when you travel to Japan. This is another thing you should know. So onsen is a very common thing in Japan. Have a onsen bath. So my 10th point for today is that you need to book an accommodation down before traveling down to Japan. Like, you can book it down like 6 to 9 months in advance before traveling to Japan, and you can book accommodations like hotels through some websites. I don't want to recommend anyone, but there are websites that you can book your accommodation down. You know that Japan is a place where many people, like many tourists, visit, especially through winters and autumn, early May, and those times. And those are times that people used to visit Japan the most. So you have the chance to explore the changing weather and everything, the beautiful scenes and the beautiful cities in Japan. So I think it's very advisable to book an accommodation down 6 to 9 months before visiting Japan. So even when you book an accommodation down, it's going to be easy for you to like change your plan, and it's going to make your plan to be easily flexible and stuff. So that's another point you need to know about Japan before traveling to Japan, because Japan is a place where many people used to travel to because they want to see the beautiful and everything, the colorful cities and everything. So you just need to book an accommodation down 6 to 9 months before traveling to Japan. So my 11th point for today about Japan is you have to speak quietly in public places. Not even in public places, in your hotel rooms, in the restaurants, the train station, and places like that. You have to speak quietly. Like, you have to reduce the level of your tone and the way you speak in public, because I think those Japanese don't really like noise. You just have to like keep your tone low and just converse with the person you want to talk to in a low tone, and just keep everything on a low tone. Even in your hotel room, you don't have to shout. There are some places in Africa here where shouting doesn't mean anything. Shouting around the house and in restaurants is very common. It's just like a method of talking, and people used to shout in places like this and other part of the world. Shouting is common, but in Japan, it's not really allowed, or it's not really permitted, or people there don't really like shouting. So you as a tourist or as a traveler, I don't think it's a good thing for you to be shouting. Just keep your tone low, on a low tone, and you communicate with whoever person you're communicating with on a low tone. Just keep your tone down. Don't shout while communicating with anybody. It is advisable for you to just keep your tone on a low one. So that's another point you should know about Japan. So my 12th and the last point for today is getting you guys familiar with some commonly used words in Japan, like excuse me. Excuse me means sumimasen. Sumimasen means excuse me. Yes is I, while no means I. So I'm going to be dropping the image of some commonly used words in the video, so you guys are going to pause the video in that part and look at it, and I hope you get some few tips in this video that can help you when you get to Japan. And if you feel like there are some points that I missed, you can just drop it somewhere in the comment section. So this is the end of the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. Bye. We see you in the next video.